Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So, if you ever look at this research tab on YouTube, you could see what people are looking for. And one of the top searches is, and let me just zoom this up here, is does velocity banking really work? Now, here's the thing about this channel. I don't think I've ever made a video where I said this works or not. What I just do is demonstrations and then let you decide if you want to do it. And I do velocity banking in real life. So if you take a look at this HELOC here, velocity banking at its core, it's very simple. Money into home equity line of credit or some sort of line of credit, expenses out, pay some interest, and then rinse and repeat the process over and over again. Now, this is a gross simplification, right? But, I don't want to decide for you whether it works or not. I want you to do it yourself, which is why I do these demonstrations over and over again. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've made the same video about, I don't know, 300, 400 times. I can't wait to get to 10,000 because I don't know if you ever heard that Bruce Lee quote. I don't fear the man who does 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who does one kick 10,000 times. And I wonder if there's going to be somebody out there in the audience who's actually going to keep track if I made 10,000 videos of the same subject. But we're going to make the next one today. So this is the way I like to present velocity banking. Hey, let's say that you have a budget, right? Let's say you have a budget of someone who actually makes really good money. And I'll be honest, I've met people like this where they make really good money and they're broke because of their spending habits, living paycheck to paycheck, and they have a ton of debt, right? My favorite scenario to go over is someone who actually has like 15 debts and how to use this strategy or velocity banking to get out. But let's say that you don't even know what velocity banking is. The way that I would present it is, hey, what if you made this amount of money and you only had $355 left over, and then you're in so much debt, 10 credit cards, okay, 10 credit cards. Do you think we can get out of this $167,000 of credit card debt pretty easily? Say less than 3 years. And then they'll be like, no, that'd be really hard. You got to work more hours or something, right? Most of the strategies out there when it comes to getting out of debt is usually about saving more money. And yes, saving more money may help you, right? Like I'm not saying it's not going to help you, but this is what I prefer to do. I prefer to have zero savings, right? And this is the thing that very few people teach, right? So let me just do a Google search of what if I have zero savings. We'll see if it's a good thing or a bad thing according to Google. Oops, excuse me, I'm burping a little bit. Um, you know, if you have no savings, build an emergency fund, which is kind of like saying go ahead and build some savings, right? So I'm totally not going to do that because what we're going to do is something called velocity banking. And again, I would never ever tell anybody like this is the best strategy. Does this even work or not? I don't think I ever made a video like that. I just say, hey, this is a strategy, right? This is what I'm doing, and you can do it or not, and I don't care if you do it or not, right? Too many people, they get really caught up about like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe you're even talking about this, even though there's like, people gorging food videos on YouTube and eating like 20 meals and um, I don't know, 5, 10 minutes or something like that. It's really disgusting. But let me go ahead and let's just do this and actually explain the strategy. So again, the way that I would present it is like, hey, someone who only has $355 in savings. How would you get this person out of debt? And most people can't explain it clearly, right? Like you present this to them, they can't explain it clearly. Let me know because I'm always open to new explanations. But what I would do is just say, hey, let's assume that we had a line of credit available. Again, higher incomes lead to higher amounts of credit available, right? Debt to income ratio. Now, now, some people will be like, well, who has a $200,000 or line of credit laying around? And this is why it's really important to understand how banks work. And I'm going to say this again for the 200th or 400th time: banks don't lend money to people who need it, right? And this is why it's very important to have a firm financial foundation before you even do any of this stuff or even borrowing money, right? This is a reason why I have over $258,000 in lines of credit. But let's just assume that we have $200,000 in lines of credit. Now, what we're going to do, again, is we're going to do the opposite of what Americans do, which is have the zero savings, right? Zero savings. And we're going to tweak our behavior. What is the difference between here and here? The difference between the average American is that the average American uses their checking and savings as their main operating account, mostly their checking. Whereas velocity banking, your line of credit is your main operating account, right? And all you got to do velocity banking is just two things. Number one is you got to have a budget because your budget's your attack plan. Yeah, it's essentially your debt attack plan. Think about your cash flows like you got a bucket full of holes, and every single debt that you have is a hole that we're going to try to patch up. And what we're going to do is try to maximize what we call this cash flow number, which is our income minus our expenses, and we can actually increase it on day one by simply doing some debt transfers, right? So again, this is a gross oversimplification, but let's say I move these 10 credit cards to this $200,000 line of credit, right? $200,000. Okay, think of this as like a huge credit card. It's actually called a home equity line of credit because if you have something called equity, you can actually kind of use your home like a bank, right? Home equity line of credit. Now, or actually, I'm sorry, let me say that again, like a credit card based on your home equity. Now, what's the actual strategy? Well, paycheck in, expenses out, and then your balance of that line of credit is going to go down by your cash flow. But take a look at this. This is the most dramatic thing that I've ever seen. Just by doing a simple debt transfer, what happens to all these payments? Oh my gosh, these go to zero, right? Zero, 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 zero. And what do we have here? We magically went from $355 to $5,700. $355 to $5,700. Mind blown, right? This is the most mind blowing thing. See, there are plenty of Americans out there, and I know because some of you randomly email me who are in this situation, and I always love to use this situation because this is like the ultimate stress test. Make a lot of money and then have it blown by debt, right? Like have absolutely nothing and having that, what is it, $1,000 of emergency fund, that's going to take us 3 months. No bueno. I don't want that. Why not just have zero savings and go from 355 to $5,700 a cash flow by simply doing nothing other than transferring some debt and making your line of credit as our main operating account? Because when we put our total $10,000 into that line of credit and we take our expenses out, then the balance will go down by 5,700. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Who has 10 grand, 13 grand a month lying around? And again, our debt is all going to be proportional to our income, right? No one's going to give you $167,000 of credit card debt unless you make some good income. So if you have only like $500 of debt, then credit card debt, you're probably not making that much, right? It's all proportional, mostly. All right. So now let's go ahead and do this. Take our entire paycheck, put it into line of credit, does two things: satisfies the minimum monthly payment, and it minimizes the interest because the interest is calculated on something called the average daily balance. So we don't have to care about the minimum monthly payment anymore. Okay? So now what we do, right? What we do is we just calculate the next month's balance. So it's going to go down by $5,701, right? So to calculate the next month's balance is previous month's balance plus the previous month's interest minus this cash flow number, 5701.35, and then we take the average daily balance here, right? Take the average daily balance, and then this is an estimate, so multiply it by the interest rate, because HELOC interest rates, in my experience, are 10%. Some people can get lower, I've heard, as low as 5, 4. I don't know if that's true or not, but let's just use 10. And then we're going to copy and paste. Copy and paste. Oh my goodness. Paid off in about 34 months, right? So 34 months. And if you get 34 and multiply by 12, that's less than 3 years, folks. less than 3 years, 2.83 actually. So let's just do right here 2.8 years, and I don't know, what was that, $167,000 of debt. So given, I mean, so here's the thing, does it actually work? I don't know. You decide. And this is the right strategy for you. Then, you could do the Dave Ramsey method. I mean, what's first step of Dave Ramsey? Get 3 months of savings, right? So now I gotta wait 3 months to go from 355 to 700 to a little bit over 1,000, or I could just get this $5,700 number and have zero savings. Who doesn't want zero savings? I'm in the zero savings club. I need to make a T-shirt and sell it. Sell it for $100. No, I'm just kidding. But I need, here's the thing. If I actually ever see more than $0 on my checking savings while I'm in debt payoff mode in my monthly statement, I'm a little bit nervous. Like, what am I doing with money? I want to attack my entire paycheck into that line of credit using this strategy. And then once I maximize this cash flow number, especially if I paid off with these credit cards, at this point, I'm going to decide, am I going to get a mortgage? Or I'm sorry, am I going to get an investment rental property, or should I pay off my mortgage? I don't know. That's up to you, right? What if you don't want to deal with a tenant? There are plenty of landlords who think, oh my goodness, I watched a TikTok video about how easy real estate is with no money down because the renter is paying the rent. But guess what? There's a reason why eviction courts exist, because people don't pay their rent, right? If it were so easy, eviction court would never exist. But so you got to really think about that. So if you don't ever want to deal with the tenant, then go ahead and just pay off your mortgage. Or you can maybe, do some investments or other stuff. I don't know. I only deal with real estate because I'll be honest, I don't I don't really know. I feel like I can't have control of stocks, Like how does the value of GameStop go from like going broke to infinity in like one day just because of Reddit posts, right? I don't know. You don't have any control over that. But at least with real estate, you can get a discounted property to today's price. That's like the only asset class, as far as I'm aware, right? And so now, you know, does this work? Does it not? Do you even care? Do I even care? I mean, you can make videos about how this doesn't work and I'll be okay and I'll still be doing the strategy. Because why? Paycheck in, expenses out. Oh my goodness, look how easy this was. Because it's a very simple strategy. Almost, right? There's a little bit of nuances. Last thing you want to do, and let me make a note about this. You don't ever want to pay the mortgage first, right? So let me explain what I mean by that. So let's go ahead and reset this, okay? So let's assume that we had a $300,000 line of credit, okay? A $300,000 line of credit. And give me 1 second. Okay. Let me delete this. All of this. Okay. Now, what would happen if we decided just to move the entire mortgage payment to that line of credit, right? So $300,000. So let's go ahead and do that. $300,000, 30000. Okay. Well, guess what? $300,000, and this goes to zero. And so we went from 355 savings to $2,154 a month. Now, on the surface, that seems great. But again, remember the last situation where we moved 167,000 credit card debt and this went to like $5,700? So which one do you prefer? To get $2,000 of cash flow back for $300,000, or $5,700 of cash flow back to pay off 167? Because our goal, and I don't know if you've ever taken a calculus class before, is to maximize this cash flow number, right? That's the whole point of calculus, is to maximize the numbers, or minimize, but we don't want to we want to minimize the interest and we want to maximize the cash flow. And so if we have $300,000 and our balance is only going down by $2,000 a month, that's a no bueno situation. That's why we wait till the very last moment to pay off the mortgage once all our other debts paid off. And so let me go ahead and do a dramatic demonstration again. So We're going to put this back, okay? And then let's put $167,000, and then let's do this one more time. Oh my goodness, right? Would you pay $300,000 for $2,000 or $167,000 for $5,700? Right? So that's why the debt payoff order is incredibly important. And you could almost say, and I don't want to say this 100%, that the interest rate does not matter that much compared to this cash flow number. Okay? All right. Well, that's it for today. So I didn't. I to be honest, I did not answer the question of the video, which is, does velocity banking really work? Because I don't. I want you to be an adult and make your own decision on whether something works or not. I just do the demonstrations. I'm like that sample, person in Costco where you ever notice that the sample cost the person like the lady or the dude, they give you the samples. They never tell you if the product's good or not. They just said here it is, take it or not. Or maybe they'll tell you good, but I don't remember that. All right, well, all right, well, this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So happy, today's Monday, isn't it? Happy Monday. Have a great day, and we'll speak next time.